Hello.
Hello.
That was pretty loud for me. No. No, I feel like I could be really quiet and still heard. Can you guys hear me? See? I could like whisper. It's really exciting. Are we ready? Will you give me like a sign?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're good to go. You.
I feel like I need a better sign. Do like an action. Thank you. Hi, hello. How's it going? What's up? My name's Kat, and for those of you who don't know me, this is my parents' backyard. And if you're now thinking, I thought this was Nash's parents' backyard, you would be correct. We are what is colloquially known as siblings. And now if you're thinking, you're Nash's little sister, you guys are nothing alike. They're like really cool. I know. I was told the exact same thing when I was in high school. Yeah, is this funny or is it sad? We'll have to see. But yeah, we actually are. We're siblings. We have two of the same biological parents, and that means, genetically speaking, I am more similar to them than anyone else in the world. Wow. We also, if you're like thinking nature versus nurture kind of thing, we are really similar. Like, we both grew up with the same parents, and we're only about a year apart. So we grew up at the same time. We lived in the same houses. We went to all the same schools, even college. We both were English majors. It was a small school, so we had some of the same classes with the same professors at the same time. We both worked for major library systems in the Kansas City Metro. And now I don't work for a library anymore, but I work for an organization that services libraries in the area. So some days we interact with the exact same people during our day. This is all to say, Nash and I are actually very similar. We're not the same person, right? Nash is like a talented singer and songwriter. They're a computer programmer. They're a game designer. They advocate for positive social change in the local government. And, I spent upwards of 50 hours between 2020 and 2022 photographing fashion polys from 2002 to tell a high school love story on the internet. So, as you can see, different, but similar, and both very cool, okay? Caitlin from high school, you can just shut up. Sorry, Mom. I know shut up's basically a cuss word here. And I know that because this is my parents' backyard, too. It's actually very much, this is the house I grew up in. Over there used to be a tree, and I would pretend that was my house when I was playing fairies. Back there's a compost pile, and it used to be a little overgrown garden where I would take my Fisher-Price Little People dollhouse and turn it into a slug hotel. No, I won't be explaining. About where you guys are sitting, one summer I had my parents put up a tent so I could go camping in the backyard. And then what I did was just sleep in my bed and come out here, eat marshmallows, and read Harriet the Spy. So it was great. As I got older, had a lot more experiences here. In fact, I got married in this backyard a few years ago. Actually, I got married at the kitchen table, but then we had a big party out here with like friends and speeches, and we paid to have a possum come. So, it's true. There's some kind of wedding wisdom that I heard one time that was like, you want to spend your most amount of money on catering and the dress and the flowers or something like that. And I'm like, okay, here's the thing. You want to spend the most amount of money bringing in wildlife? Because that's cool. It's kind of weird just having so many ages and life stages that I've experienced here. I think aging in general is kind of weird because you don't know that you do it. But then you do know that you used to be younger, right? So like, I've been doing stand-up comedy since I was in high school, which was over 10 years ago. And there are jokes that I told back then that I really just couldn't tell now. And not because, you know, you've heard people say like, oh, you just can't joke about anything anymore. But that's not why. It's just the jokes literally don't work anymore. So one of the earliest jokes I ever told was about my grandma. At the time, my aunt had just described to her what an initialism is on the internet. So that's like LOL for laugh out loud, right? And my grandma loved it. She loved it so much, she would make up her own, which, on the one hand, is kind of how internet slang works, because all language somebody just made up. But on the other hand, it's very much not how internet slang works. Because the initialisms were developed by people on the same platforms and in the same communities to save themselves keystrokes. So they would all say the same phrase and then they would start shortening the phrase to save time. That's where we get BRB for be right back, AWK for away from keyboard, WTF for what the fiddlesticks. Right, Mom? Right. Fiddlesticks. They don't work so well if the people you're talking to don't know the paraphrase or the phrase that you're trying to shorten, right? So my grandma would send me emails to my Yahoo account, or one of my Yahoo accounts. I had like 15 at the time, and they all had names that sounded like either they were for a 13-year-old girl, which I was, or some kind of salacious chatbot, which I wasn't. And she would send me emails, and she would end the emails with things like YGM TCC. And then, because I have no idea what that means, she would have to say in parentheses what her letters stand for. And it would be like, your grandma, the cyber chick. And then I would have to reply like, okay, grandma, don't you mean cyber hen? And see, that joke is funny because it's like a chick is a baby chicken, like a young chicken, and a hen is a matured chicken. So I was kind of calling my grandma old. Now, it's been quite a while, and my grandma is on Facebook, and like many grandmas on Facebook, she shares a lot of recipes and quotes about being a grandma. Just recently, she shared like an AI-generated bit of interior design, and when I saw it, I was not sure if she knew that it was AI-generated or if she thought it was just some really outlandish person's bedroom. Which is to say, at this stage in my life, I'm on Facebook feeling deeply paranoid about AI. And that might mean that now I'm the cyber hen. It's true. There are a few things in my life that make me feel really old. I'm not. I'm like 30-something. But there are some things that make me feel really old, like back pain, or the fact that I can't digest dairy, or how I have a wife and a house and a mortgage and a financial planner. But nothing makes me feel quite so archaic as the fact that a new technology has been introduced. I'm really suspicious about it, and honestly, to some extent, I'm like, but the jobs. It feels right up there with around when I turned 30, I became very aware of gas prices, which I find annoying because, like all small talk topics, I am not interested in gas prices. When I talk to someone and they're like, gas has just gotten really expensive, or they want to tell me about inflation, or how we need more rain or less rain or a different kind of rain, I just want to stab myself in the eye with a fork, which sounds extreme, but it's actually more extreme because I don't like when things touch my eyes, and I really, really don't like when gross things touch silverware. But still, regardless of not caring about gas prices at all, I can't help but notice them all the time. So I'll be driving somewhere with my wife and they'll be telling me about their job or their kids or the book that they're reading. All things that I'm really interested in. And I will interrupt them to be like, 308. Drives me insane. One of my best friends loves dogs. So she will interrupt anything to point out a dog. Doesn't even have to be a real dog. One of the first times I was visiting her, we were driving to a beach, and she stopped mid-sentence, pointed out the windshield, and said, "Dog!" And I looked, and it was literally a decal on the back window of somebody else's car. It's great. It's delightful. I wish I pointed out real and fictitious dogs. Instead, I'm just like, ooh, 329 over here. Okay, this is kind of awkward, but I forgot my next joke, so give me a second. Look at this dog while you have the chance. It is, yeah. All right. Getting a bit boring aside, I do think aging has been really good for me. When I was in my early to mid-20s, I told a lot of jokes that were like, I'm just like a big anxious mess, or I'm always single, or I'm kind of bad at life. I felt a lot like I was floundering, but now I've gotten a bit older, and well, I'm actually still a big anxious mess, but now I'm medicated, so thank you. I got married, so can't tell any of my single jokes anymore. And, I still kind of feel like I'm floundering at life, but thanks to being medicated, I feel like I'm floundering in different ways, I used to have a joke where I would tell people, I kind of was getting ready and looked in my fridge, and I did not know when anything was bought, and so kind of panicked and ended up having a root beer float for breakfast. And I don't think that would happen now, because, as previously mentioned, I can't really digest dairy. Not that that stops me from eating it, but I have a wife now, so I don't think they would care if I ate ice cream for breakfast, but I would be really embarrassed. So I think that's just one way their mere existence has improved my life. It's kind of a weird time to be married for me, because I'm a wife, and I have a wife, and according to a document that was provided by, filed with the Missouri state government, that's legal. But there were recently some rollbacks in rights for women, and when that happened, the Supreme Court was a little bit like, maybe we should take a look at that marriage equality thing. So that's kind of a bummer. Still, I think it's a better time now to be queer in America than any other time. Like, for instance, even just 8 years ago, if you were in a relationship like mine, you might be at a party and have someone be like, okay, but which of you is the guy? And I don't think that happens as much anymore. And I say thank goodness, because I'd be like, I don't know, what's the measure of guyness, right? Like, I'm definitely more likely to wear a skirt, but my wife is significantly better at making the bed. I will make it. It just, like, kind of looks like an 8-year-old did it. And my wife is really good at a crisp line, you know? So it's like, if you were to just look at me, look at us as a couple, you might think, well, obviously, I'm the girl. But if you were trying to fit us into like a straight sitcom couple from the 90s, I might be the guy. And that kind of, it's like, I feel really uncomfortable with that, in part because my wife doesn't like guys. But also, recently, I read about, I read a headline that mentioned a study was done on straight couples, and what they found was men who are married to women statistically have a longer life expectancy than single men. And women who are married to men statistically have a shorter life expectancy than single women. And that kind of freaks me out. I like to think that since we're a queer couple, we're kind of exempt. But then I think, I don't know, it's like, okay, I saw someone trying to make sense of this data, which, as previously mentioned, I read a headline. I did not read the study. I don't know who the people were who did the study or what data they were looking at. But despite knowing very little about this study, I do worry about it. Remember, still an anxious mess. And I saw someone trying to make sense of it, and they said, well, it might be that if a guy has a wife, maybe he's more likely to go to the doctor because maybe his wife schedules his doctor's appointment. Or maybe he's more likely to, like, take his cholesterol medicine because she filled it or whatever. Whereas if a guy is single, maybe he's more likely to get drunk and go parasailing or whatever. I don't know what guys do. It's, you know. On the other hand, women who are married to men might be a little stressed out from all of the doctor's appointments that they're making and all of the medicine prescriptions that they're filling and all of the insisting their husbands should not go parasailing after getting drunk. I don't know. And I'm afraid this does relate to my relationship because I know that had a little health concern recently. It was like my eye swole. It turned bright red. It was extremely painful. I could not look at the light. I made us like live in a vampire house, basically. So there was never a moment that I was not aware that something was wrong with my eye. And the optometrist prescribed eye drops that were like some kind of steroid. And she said, you have to put these in every hour for 4 days. And that is exactly what I did when my wife was there, reminding me to put the eye drops in every hour. And then when I was on my own, I was good to do it every 2, 3 hours. I don't know. So I guess what I'm getting at is I am kind of worried that I might be the sitcom husband. I can definitely see how having a wife might extend a person's life expectancy. I think having a wife is extending my life expectancy on account of the, doing the medicine and not eating the ice cream for breakfast. But I hope that I'm also the kind of wife who's extending her partner's life expectancy. I just don't know. And I worry about it a lot because I think my wife is the best person in the world. I'm like kind of sorry for all of you that they're my wife, so they can't be yours. That's how it goes. Okay, this is kind of the end of where I wrote things, but I have one more story that just doesn't have a transition, if you guys are ready for it. Okay, so I used to work for a public library, and there were a couple of adorable little kids who would come in. They were like very smart and sassy sisters, a real alliteration pair. And the youngest one, she would razz me a lot. And one time she came up to the front desk. She was having me check out like 40 bucks for her. She held up her hand. She had a Band-Aid. And she said, "My hamster bit me." And so to empathize with her, I said, "Oh man, I'm sure that hurts. I have a rabbit and she bit me recently and it hurt really bad." And that little girl just looked at me and said, "Rabbit bites don't hurt. Hamster bites hurt way worse." And I was like, okay. And just recently, my wife and I got a hamster, and he bit me. And so let me just say, rabbit bites hurt way worse, and you can just shut up, Caitlin from the library. None of these people are actually named Caitlin, for the record. Okay, that is officially all I have, except I would like to say today is the first day of Pride Month, and I know some of you straights love those chicken sandwiches, so Chick-fil-A donates money, or spends their money, on anti-queer programs and policies, backing programs and policies, and I don't want to prevent you from eating your chicken sandwiches, but I think just even it out. So anytime you go, send 30 bucks to your favorite gay. And if you've gone recently, you can Venmo me as Zoe the Cat. Thank you.